when you're with yourself, you have the voice in the head. Unless you begin to awaken, in which case you're able to experience spaces of alert, still presence. It's beautiful. But otherwise, you have this thing, commenting, talking, arguing. And then this becomes a burden for many people. Of course it is a burden, because a lot of the stuff it says is actually not pleasant. And so you experience it as a burden, and since you derive your sense of identity from it, it becomes yourself. This talking voice, you think that's you. It becomes the self. And you walk around with this burden of the self. And in order to unburden yourself, one thing you can do, you think you can do, is you can watch the television, or you can go on to watch. There are countless things that you can watch on the little screen. The entire world's knowledge at your fingertips. And the moment you watch the screen, whether it's television or on the screen, you might have noticed that your so-called own thought processes come to a stop. So to some extent, you're free of the self. This is why people sometimes find watching television relaxing. Say, okay, I just need to relax now, let's turn it on. By this they mean, while they watch the television screen, they are not burdened by their self-induced thought processes. What they do, however, they replace their own thoughts with the collective thoughts. So you're not in a state of thoughtless awareness when you watch television or you watch something on the screen. You absorb the thoughts from there into your mind, and you link into. So for people often in a state of semi or hypnosis when they watch, and it kind of paralyzes you. It can also happen with the screen, with television. Already started, of course. I don't know whenever 60 years ago, whenever television started, and you go, and so your mind is just absorbing whatever is playing. It's the TV mind, which is receiving stuff from wherever it comes from, is going into your mind, and you become no longer thinking your own thoughts. Occasionally you might, you say, oh, this guy is so stupid, and then you're watching again. And then another thought, why am I watching this rubbish? Half an hour later, this is so awful. But you can't turn it off. Here's the remote. Let's just try one more channel. There might be something else there. Oh no, that's stupid. Try one more. This is how an addict behaves, and the device is even more addictive. Because you carry them with you, and you may have to admit that there is an addiction in you. Not everybody here, but quite a few. It would be almost normal to feel this draw towards it, and you use it even when you don't need to use it. That's the amazing thing. When you're standing at the elevator, waiting, so another person is standing next to you, and he or she is pulling out the phone, and then you pull out yours. You don't know why. Or anywhere, you're ordering a tea or coffee somewhere, and you're standing in line, and if you look around, there's almost nobody, and probably nobody, who is not looking at this little thing. This is scary. Zombie-like. Now, if somebody from the past, the so-called past, a time traveler from the past came here, and even not the distant past, let's just say even 20 years ago, and he arrived and would see in the streets, in restaurants, in cafes, everywhere, in public transport, people are walking around with these things, staring at these things. Say, what's happened? Something has happened to humanity. We've all become zombies. Something terrible must have happened. What was that? These are wonderful devices, the incredible possibilities of having access to all kinds of knowledge, but there's always the downside. There's a huge, huge downside to it. They are addictive. They stimulate the mind. The thing you want to become free from, you want to become free of mind, and this will prevent you from becoming free of mind. So as you need to be disciplined enough to not automatically look at it whenever there's a moment and you're waiting for something or whatever it is, and there's no need to check these things. I don't even know what they are, but I just know that Facebook is the biggest thing, and then there's Instagram and Snapchat and countless names, and some people have all of them on their phones, and you need to know the latest thing. Crazy. So, but if you detect the addiction in yourself, then you have to first of all admit that you are addicted. Don't deny it. You know Alcoholics Anonymous. The first thing when you go there, you have to say, I am an alcoholic. Now, some people say, well, that's not a good thing because your identity is not being an alcoholic. Of course not. So it could be misunderstood. But your nature is not being an alcoholic. It is your present condition is that. But to recognize the problem, the difficulty, the challenge is just you stated. Yes, I'm addicted to this phone, and I choose not to be addicted. And then you can be the only one in many places who is not looking in waiting rooms, waiting in line, whatever it is, waiting on the phone for somebody to talk to you, and in the meantime, but you use this beautiful thing of just being present, and you look around, and you step out of thinking, and all the others are still in their hypnotic state.